What the King of Kalos did was reprehensible, but the ultimate weapon did manage to wash the world clean of that era's filth. Should we be worried? I don't know, it kinda seems like he's advocating for, genocide. No? Okay, if you say so. I have to apologize to you about Lysandre. I'm very sorry for the trouble he caused. Yeah, I mean, who could have seen it come? Anyway, hi, I'm Dream. My Silksong-sized break is finally over and I can put the clown outfit to rest once and for all. I've thought about making a video about that game, but I don't want to take away attention from the main point of the channel, which is Pokemon. I have an idea for a nice middle ground though, so look forward to that. I'll keep you all updated as I sort out the details. Introductions aside, Legends ZA is coming out in about a month from now. That got me thinking a little bit about the original games, Pokemon X and Y. These games seem to have become the black sheep of the franchise, which I find a little sad. I'm the kind of person that genuinely enjoys every Pokemon game, and I think they all have a little more depth to them than what some people might think. Case in point, Team Flare is the evil organization of these games, and despite the abundant amount of memes and mockery towards it, I think the message that Team Flare carries with them is one of the most philosophical and poignant of the entire franchise. Interviews with Junichi Masuda shows how they wanted to tone down the seriousness of Team Flare when compared with Team Plasma, and admittedly that turned the dialogue of the grunts into something less exciting. However, there are also a lot of serious exchanges and NPC interactions that reveal a far more interesting nuance that I feel Legends ZA will touch upon. So, what is Team Flare? Team Flare is an organization that strives to turn the world into a more beautiful place, led by Lysandre, the owner of Lysandre Labs, which is known for inventing the Holocaster and other things useful to trainers around the Kalos region. What do they mean by beautiful though, and how exactly do they plan to achieve this goal? To understand that, we only need to look at their actions within the games themselves. Most of what they do is centered around gathering energy from the Kalos region so they can eventually power up the ultimate weapon. Our first encounter with them, excluding our talk with Lysandre and Lumiose, is at the Glittering Cave. Here they are trying to steal fossils from researchers. But why? What do fossils have to do with energy? Well, one of the scientists in the fossil lab explains how Pokemon that can be restored from fossils just might have something to do with Mega Evolution. While this connection isn't exactly clear, it's possible Team Flare was interested in this same connection that takes us to Glittering Cave. After that, we find them in Route 10 and Geosenge Town. Examining the strange stones, we later find out are the graves of Pokemon that died during the war. They're obviously interested in them because of the energy they emit. In fact, these are the same stones they later use to absorb the life energy of Pokemon in order to finally activate the ultimate weapon. Then, in Route 13 in one of the Kalos power plants, we see them stealing space-powered electricity for their own goals. Once they're done securing that energy though, they move their efforts into stealing Pokeballs from the Pokeball factory. The reason for this is pretty clear, as Mabel herself tells us when we encounter her in Frost's Cavern. What does it look like? We're catching Pokemon. Why else would we have grabbed all those Pokeballs? It was also we could catch powerful Pokemon like the Zabomasnow. It's full of potent energy. A lot of NPCs from the Pokeball factory also mention how people won't be able to become friends with Pokemon if all Pokeballs are stolen. And this is exactly what Team Flare is interested in. They want to be the ones to have all the power, the strong Pokemon, the means to stand above the rest. Ultimately, Team Flare's goal seems to be amassing a lot of resources for itself and taking away from others. Because they are interested in making a world where only they survive, Team Flare wants to first make sure they'll be able to survive in the wasted landscape they're intending to create. That's why their secret HQ in Geosenge Town is similar to a shelter, and why they're even accumulating food. Team Flare, huh? They stash tons of cash and food and stuff in their secret HQ. That's what my friend who joined up with Team Flare told me anyhow. But why? Why cause this destruction? Wasn't their intention to make the place more beautiful? Why do they think a world in which only they survive, a world in their image, is more beautiful than the current Kalos? What is beauty to Team Flare? You're not the brightest one, are you? Whoever has the most Pokemon and the most energy will come out on top. Lazy people who just wait for things to be handed to them don't get to have these resources. The idea of lazy people who passively take without giving is an idea that's repeated a few times throughout X and Y. There's some Team Flare grunts later in the game that mentioned how we're the only ones worried about the future, and how we were worried about an uncertain future, but Lysandre showed us how to get to his certain future. Team Flare is a team that values effort and self-sacrifice above everything else. To even be accepted into Team Flare, you have to give the colossal amount of 5 million Pokédollars to the organization. The idea seems to be the following: the only people who are deserving of a future are the people who are willing to come out on top, produce results, and selflessly give all of it away for the benefit of a greater good. To Team Flare, they are the only ones who are actively working towards making the future a better place, and everyone else is a lazy imbecile who doesn't deserve that future. Team Flare are an exaggerated expression of a disillusioned philanthropist who wants to make the world a better place, only to encounter failure. This becomes even more obvious when you read Lysandre's journal in his labs. When I was young, I went on a journey around Kalos with my Pokémon. I reached out to help those suffering because they had nothing. At first, they were grateful, but eventually, they began to take my help for granted and demand more and more. Will fools like those people consume the Kalos region? Obviously, his methods are wrong. Genocide and discrimination are wrong, and I don't want you to think I'm going to justify any of it. But it is important to understand where Lysandre comes from to understand his character arc, since I feel like he often gets reduced to simply being insane. Lysandre is someone who genuinely cares about people. He genuinely cares about the Kalos region. He genuinely wants the best for the world. He developed a holocaster to help trainers, even if later he used that tool to spy on them instead. Many people describe him as someone warm and kind, and as we've seen in the earlier journal entry, he used to donate and help people in need as well. In his conversation with Diantha, he praises her for dedicating her life to making other people happy, and he laments how, if everyone were like her, what a beautiful world that would be. It seems to me like Lysandre's idea of beauty is deeply connected to selflessness. I try to save people and the world with the profits from this lab, but my efforts had no effect. The world was just too vast and too full of fools that I couldn't save through my hard work alone. That's why I decided the only way to save the world was to take it all for myself. Something changed within him. The simple truth is, the world isn't like that. When there's only one of something, it can't be shared. When something can't be shared, it will be fought over. And when something is fought over, some must survive without it. The only way to create a world where people live in beauty, a world without conflict or theft, is to reduce the number of living things. The world has limited resources, and as Lysandre himself says, conflicting egos drive this world. When Lysandre is faced with this absolute truth, he breaks. No matter how much money he gives, no matter how much he tries to help others, there is one undeniable truth at the end of it all. Not everyone can be saved. Beauty is not a tangible physical thing. It is an ideal that everyone conceives differently, and this is an uncomfortable truth. War has struck the Kalos region multiple times, 3,000 years ago, 300 years ago, possibly more times, seeing as how Xerneas and Yveltal seem to have appeared 800 years ago as well, and they seem to be closely related with war or tragedies in myths. But can those wars be prevented? Lysandre realizes that no, they can't. As there are limited resources, people will fight over them. And as Pokémon exist, people will use them as tools for fighting. We have seen that multiple times. Isn't that exactly how evil organizations work in Pokémon, after all? The strength to protect, huh? But what are you really protecting? A tomorrow that will only end up being worse than today. Can the world even be beautiful? Maybe war and poverty are just an inherent part of life. Progress and a lack of resources inevitably lead to competition, and competition on a grander scale takes the form of war. This dilemma is exactly what I feel Legends EA will touch upon, and I have several reasons to believe this. The urban redevelopment plan that Quasartico Inc started is a clear example of how the game intends to tackle this issue. Wild areas are now all over Lumio City to turn the city into a place where both Pokémon and humans can live, but this presents a set of problems. The introduction of alpha Pokémon proves that not everything is as colorful as it seems. There's danger involved in the introduction of wild Pokémon in the city. Not every Pokémon is equally as docile, and as we've seen, wild Pokémon are not simply limited to those in wild areas. We can also find them around the city. There's also some in roofs and other places in the city. To this, I present the question, is it safe? Is there enough space for them? And what about the rogue mega evolutions that are now scattered around the city as well? At first, I thought wild areas were just a way to justify Pokémon being caught in the city, but I'm now inclined to think they serve a narrative purpose as well. The dangerous parts of Lumios that the trailers have revealed make me think that the player is intended to question whether the introduction of wild Pokémon in urban areas is really a good thing. The other half of this is the ZA Royale, and I want to give special thanks to Sidonia, an Italian Poketuber that makes really cool theories and trailer analysis, for talking about this and making me realize just how messed up the ZA Royale is. It is literally the antithesis of Pokemon battles as we know them. Normally, they are something with a certain honor and respect to them. They're more of a friendly competition and it is meant to be fair. But if you look at how battles work in the ZA Royale, you get a completely different impression. You're allowed to attack someone while they're not even aware that you are there to get an advantage. The concept of turns is completely removed from the equation. You can seemingly run away from battles as well. Needless to say, the ZA Royale throws away any sort of honor or respect. You're meant to use whatever underhanded techniques you can line in order to come out on top. At night, you are taking the place of what Team Flare's grunts used to do. And for what reason? To obtain a wish when you reach the final rank. I briefly touched upon this in my other prediction video for Legend ZA, but I believe this idea works even better when you remember Lysandre's words. The wish is the thing that cannot be shared. The wish is that something that has to be fought over, and whoever reaches the top can make whatever wish they want and shape Lumiose as they see fit. Their idea of beauty will become reality. Quasartico Inc. is clearly the one behind the ZA Royale as well, seeing as the holographic barriers at night are extremely similar to those surrounding the wild areas. And so I propose this idea. Quasartico Inc. is literally the antithesis of Team Flare. Instead of amassing everything for themselves and giving only the elite the chance to survive, they are giving everyone in Lumiose the chance to shape the city into what they think is the ideal version of it. Instead of trying to get rid of Pokemon, they are trying to make Pokemon coexist with humans within the city. Quasartico Inc.'s urban redevelopment plan is an attempt to create the impossible utopia that Lysandre wished to achieve in the past by selflessly giving to those in need, before he realized how futile his efforts were. But there's cracks in Quasartico's plan. The alpha Pokemon, the overflow of Mega Evolution energy around the city, everything points towards their utopia failing. They have good intentions, I'm sure, but their good intentions are sparking another war, another tragedy. What are quasars? Quasars at their center have supermassive black holes that absorb matter and release the resulting energy as radiation. They are some of the most powerful and luminous objects in the entire universe. Quasartico Inc., I'm sure, works in the exact same way. By absorbing mega energy around the city and using the technology of the sundial of Anistar City, they are also generating massive amounts of energy. While Team Flare wanted to reduce the demand of limited resources, Quasartico wants the opposite. They want to generate infinite energy, an infinite supply, just like how a quasar can produce a jet. Breaking news, by the way, the latest trailer, which came out after I recorded all of this, shows something weird happening to Prism Tower. Needless to say, I think Quasartico has modified Prism Tower to do just what I explained, so the new Prism Tower would act kind of like the ultimate weapon Lysandre activated, and that's why we see mega energy all around it. It's being used to absorb and spread mega energy around the city, causing the mega crystals to appear. Anyway, back to the video. Unfortunately, I'm sure their good intentions won't end well. After all, this massive production of energy is having an impact on the environment and the stability of Kalos, and Zygarde will probably have something to say about this. But where is Team Flare in all of this? I have great memories of being in Team Flare. It was hard to feel blue when I was in the red. The blue Team Flare logo on Mabel's chair points to a certain change in mentality within Team Flare. This is something we already saw in different forms of Pokemon media. Malva goes through a redemption arc in the anime and intends to turn herself in, and Xerosic does the same in the games. I think it was always intended for the people of Team Flare to repent and regret their actions, and Legend ZA is intending to pick that back up. The reason why Mabel is the acting director of the Pokemon Lab is simple. Sycamore was a friend of Lysandre, and he was broken by the betrayal. Part of me wonders if, by allowing Mabel to redeem herself and work in the Pokemon Lab, he's giving Lysandre and the people he worked with a second chance to make things right, and I believe this time they'll actually be good. Mabel is investigating the effects that the urban redevelopment plan is having on Lumiose City and the behavior of Pokemon after all. So when they find out about Quasartico's misguided plan, one that so closely resembles the mistakes they made so many years ago, I wonder if they'll attempt to put a stop to it. This time, Team Flare will be on the right side of history. Not as people who take, but as people who give. By learning from our past mistakes, perhaps we can stop those who repeat them in the future. And maybe that is the path towards beauty. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found this interpretation interesting. I look forward to talking more about Legend ZA and seeing what the game has in store. But for now, I'll see you some other time. Keep dreaming.